Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those of you who are joining from the region, from the Middle East. My name is Daniel Qureshi. I'm the event director for Niche Ideas. We are the organizers of the Global Airports Forum, previously known as the Saudi Airport Exhibition. I'm based in Dubai. First of all, I'd like to welcome Ms. Alicia Forte. She's the Vice President of AirTech Italy and the President of Forte Secure Group, a leading provider of security systems for airports and other facilities. Um, I'd like to ask Ms. Alicia to say a few words, few welcome words before I start my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of this meeting. It's very important for AirTech Italy and for the companies member of our association to understand better every year with the opportunity to participate to this event. Since 4 years, AirTech Italy promoted the attendance to this Saudi Airport exhibition because we believe that it can represent an opportunity for the Italian company in the aviation sector to develop the business in KSA. Starting from this point, and also with the ICE, that is our government authority that has the purpose to develop the Italian business in the world. We have the opportunity to be the main association during the last Saudi Airport exhibition. And so it was very important because we can show how Italian company believe that country can represent an opportunity for our business. We have with my company, we have also the opportunity to meet last year and also 2 years ago some important prospect client and some important also person that develop with us the business there. So I don't want to anticipate how will be the next opportunities for the end of the 2025, but we think that we have the right experience to have another important occasion to develop there a new business. So thank you. Thank you also for the knowledge that you will represent during this meeting. Also because we know that the world and the business change very fast. And so it's important for us to understand also the news from your side. So thank you very much and go ahead. The stage is for you.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you very much. So basically, the purpose of this webinar is twofold. So firstly, a lot of you are already aware of what's happening in Saudi Arabia. You're familiar with some of the airport developments that are taking place in the region. So the twofold purpose is, one, to show you what's happening in Saudi Arabia, give you some real-time numbers, facts, and secondly, to tell you about the airport event that we organized, the Global Airports Forum, how it's transpired over the last three editions, how it's moving forward, in its 2025 edition and going forward. So you can see the opportunity and how it presents an opportunity for Italian companies. While I was preparing the presentation, I was reminded again of the close relationship between Italy and Saudi Arabia. It's a very close relationship that goes back almost 100 years, and every year we see that relationship strengthening. And Italian companies of course, have always been welcome to Saudi Arabia, and we hope to see more of them. I'll now share a presentation. This presentation is brought to you by the Global Airports Forum, which is hosted by Matarat Holding, which is the Airports Authority of Saudi Arabia. The event takes place in December 16 to the 17 in Riyadh. Um, it's supported by the entire global airport suppliers industry, of course, primarily Air Tech Italy and ITA, Germany, France, UK, USA, etc. But we are very proud of our association with AirTech Italy and the Italian Trade Agency of the support that they've given us in developing this event and making it as successful as it's been over the years. So, um, global aviation projections, fantastic. According to IATA, the industry over the next 20 years will see a cumulative growth rate of 4.3%. ICAO projects that the traffic will double over the next 20 odd years to about 19.5 billion passengers. And according to Boeing and Airbus, recently there were some orders at the Paris Air Show as well. Over 40,000 new aircraft will enter the market. What does this mean for our region? So 1 trillion worth of airport development is required in the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia to meet the demand of of aircraft and passengers that are entering the market. Of this 1 trillion, 151 billion is being invested in the Middle East alone. And of the 151 billion, 147 billion worth of investment is required and is being mandated for Saudi Arabia for its expansion and modernization just of the airports. So why is airport development or why is this spending so important for Saudi Arabia? In April 2016, Saudi Arabia launched its Vision 2030, which was basically a blueprint to open Saudi Arabia to the world and diversify its economy. So far, 1.3 trillion worth of real estate and infrastructure projects have been launched. This is as of September 2024. Following the April 2016 Vision 2030 announcement, in June 2021, the Ministry of Transport of Saudi Arabia announced the National Transport and Logistics Strategy, which aimed to make Saudi Arabia take advantage of its location and make it a global logistics hub. This strategy was backed by a 133 plus billion dollar worth of investment within the transport sector. So that includes aviation, amongst other aspects of transport. And that was followed in January 2022 by an announcement by the General Civil Aviation Authority called the Saudi Aviation Strategy, which was to take that portion of the national transport and logistics strategy and turn Saudi Arabia into a global aviation leader, connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. And this has a $100 billion transport investment portfolio, which includes airport development. So as you can see, the flow from 1.3 trillion, 133 billion, 100 billion, a substantial amount of investment is allocated for airport and aviation development because it's a critical part of the logistics growth that the country is experiencing and the economic diversification that it aims to achieve. Okay. So Saudi aviation strategy, going back to the Saudi aviation strategy, it's backed by a $100 billion investment to position the largest market in the aviation in the Middle East aviation, Saudi Arabia, to become amongst the top 5 air passenger transit hubs globally. Now, it's not a very easy task. I mean, it's a huge demand to be amongst the top 5 air passenger transit hubs. And why do they feel that they can achieve this? So 90% of Saudi Arabia's 35 million population lives within 2 hours of an airport. However, a fraction of that actually flies. 50% of the world's population lives within a 5 hours flight. So Saudi Arabia understands that as a connector for the global community, it plays a very vital role. 90% of the country's airports need to be expanded or modernized. So the current infrastructure within Saudi Arabia, and this has been developing very rapidly over the last 2 to 3 years. But 3 years ago, when they started the Saudi aviation strategy, when they looked at the airport infrastructure, they knew that the expansion and modernization was critical to achieve the goals of the strategy. It has the fastest passenger traffic growth expected in the Middle East between 2020 and 2040. So the growth that is being projected for Saudi Arabia by ICAO, by IATA, by ACI is to be the fastest passenger traffic growth within the Middle East over the next 20 years. And the vision is to triple the contribution of this sector to the Saudi economy. So the economic diversification that's part of the Saudi vision, it goes back to that to use aviation to triple the economic value of the sector. So the Saudi aviation strategy will triple airport capacity by 2030 and connect passengers to 250 destinations. What are the key elements? 147 billion investment in airport expansion and upgrades over a 20-year period. 82.3 billion contribution to GDP by up to 2020, 2037, sorry. Connect to 250 destinations around the world, triple passenger capacity to 330 million passengers, create 1.2, and I believe this has been revised now to even further, create at least 1.2 million jobs within the aviation and ancillary sectors, and transport 4.5 million tons of cargo just by 2030. So it's a very ambitious strategy, and they're moving very rapidly towards achieving it. So as part of the airport strategy, the country is also uh, expanding and upgrading its fleet of aircraft. There's over 500 aircraft on order amongst the Saudi airlines and lessors. This does not include the numbers that I'm going to show you. Does not include the numbers that were recently announced at the Paris Air Show. Avilis signed agreements for 77 new Airbus. Riyadh Air, I think, signed an agreement for 50 new Airbus, 25 of which were firm orders, with another 25 on hold. This is the A350-1000. Now, these numbers that we have over here excludes the Paris Air Show numbers. So, in March 2023, Riyadh Air ordered 72 Boeing 787 Dreamliners. In May 2024, Saudia Group ordered 105 A320s, taking up their order to 144. So the low-cost carrier Flynas has taken up its order to 130 A320s. Riyadh Air placed another order for 60 A321 neos, and Saudi announced a purchase of another 20 aircraft, which takes its order up to 250 aircraft by 2030. And Avides, the lessor, has ordered 30 Boeing 737 MAX jets and now 77 Airbus A320s. So the volume of orders by Saudi airlines, low-cost carriers, and lessors is matching the airport development and the aviation expansion that they expect to see. So um, there's $130 billion worth of transport sector investments that are fueling the Saudi airport expansion. As you can see from the map on the right, Saudi Saudi has 29 main airports, domestic, international, etc., which are spread all over its geography. This is the largest domestic market, of course, in the Middle East. It is one of the only few domestic markets in the region, and they are building new airports. They're modernizing existing airports. They're expanding existing airports. So the extent of development is across the country. There are projects in every part of the country, and these projects include every type of development. So these are just six projects that are new, which is a new domestic airport in Al Qasim, a new international airport in Amala, a new airport in Hale, Neom Bay Airport. As you know, the work has already started. Red Sea International, of course, flights have already started over on the Red Sea Airport, and then they've got the $7 billion initial projections for the new Riyadh Airport, which is King Salman International Airport, which is targeting 120 million passengers by 2030 and 185 million passengers by 2050. So work on all these projects is moving very, very quickly. All the projects are active, or even if they're delayed by a small margin, all the projects are going ahead as per the schedules that have been provided. So at the moment there's over 100 plus active airport tenders in Saudi Arabia. This ranges from everything from ATC to ground handling to runway, to terminal construction. There's ongoing projects, there's new projects, and there's projects that have been extended. The time period has been extended. But as you can see from this list, the extent of projects across the country is very, very diverse. It includes even airbase facilities. It includes Saudi Aramco airports, which are used mainly for smaller charter flights to support their oil field programs. Now, um, having given you all that information on the Saudi aviation program, I'd like to talk about the Global Airports Forum. It's now in its fourth successful edition, and it's one of the world's leading airport events. The idea is to bring the global industry expertise, leadership, and investors to Saudi Arabia, while Saudi Arabia is conducting such a large-scale airport and aviation development program, to put an event alongside it that allows the Saudi leaders and wider Middle East leaders an opportunity to meet their Saudi counterparts and sign deals. Procurement is a very important element of this event. You've got the exhibition, you've got a very exclusive VIP buyers and one-to-one meetings program. I'll show you the numbers in the next slide, but we bring over 200 buyers to the show every year who meet with exhibitors in one-to-one meetings, and they discuss their tenders, their projects, and how can exhibitors' technologies be implemented. A lot of deals are signed at the show. A lot of deals are finalized just before and signed at the show. A lot of our exhibitors have won multi-million-dollar contracts at the event every year, and it's thanks to the authorities, of course, because they're taking this event seriously in terms of procurement and purchase from around the region, and thanks to the excellent technologies that are brought by our exhibitors from around the world. There's two conferences that take place alongside the event. There's the Global Aviation Issues Conference organized by the American Association of Airport Executives and International Association of Airport Executives, and there's the Women in Aviation Conference. We have over 100, between 100 and I think about 150 speakers just at the two conferences, and we have about 1,000 delegates that come in and attend these conferences over the 2 days. We have excellence awards. Italian companies have, of course, won some of these over the years, but we look at the different technologies that are coming at the show. We have an independent international jury that selects the different products that are coming. Every company, all the exhibitors get to pitch their products and their technologies. And during the Excellence Awards, those that are the most innovative or the most, you know, the ones that contribute the most towards the sustainable development of our industry are awarded and recognized. And then we have the national pavilions, Italy being one of them. So we have the Italian, the German, the French, the British national pavilions, and we're looking to add a few more this year. So just a quick numbers update. We have about 10,000 global attendees expected this year, 300 international exhibitors. We had 250 last year, so about 200 between 230 and 250 exhibitors last year. So we have 300 plus expected this year, 100 participating countries, over 1,000 Saudi and Middle East buyers. We arrange these pre-scheduled meetings. Our team does those for you. 5,000 meetings, 30 conference sessions, 300 international speakers, up to 300 international speakers, 800 plus delegates. This is now 1,000. 300 award nominations across the 10 categories that we open our awards for, 150 plus international media, 150 plus product launches, and the event is spread over 15,000 gross SQM. So it's a fairly large international airport event. Now, of course, it's very important for us that our attendees get the best experience, not just our exhibitors, but also our visitors, and we make it a very important procurement event for both parties. The feedback that we received so far is very positive. Exhibitor satisfaction, 99%. 93% of our exhibitors achieved their objectives. 91% of our exhibitors would like to participate in the next edition. Similarly, our visitors, 97% of our visitors are very happy with their participation. 94% of our visitors rate the event as crucial to their business. almost 90% achieved their objectives at the show. So this will give you an idea for those of you who were at the show last year. So we're in four halls this year. The 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 blue area shows you where we were last year, the size of the show last year, and in green is the space we've added this year. So the show is not doubling, but it is increasing by about 70-75% this year. And with the 80% plus exhibitor retention, we're bound to increase the size of the show. We were unable to do so last year because we were space bound. We have that extra space, and we're increasing the size of the show. Everything you see in yellow is already booked, so we're progressing very quickly towards filling up the entire venue. In green over there, you see a large centrally located Italian pavilion. We have between 250 and 350 SQM, square meters, reserved for the Italian companies that come to the show every year. Um, More information on the Italian pavilion will be available at a later stage, but Italian companies have always been welcome at the event and will always be a central feature for the Saudi and international buyers that come to the show. Um, the event is on track for the massive growth that we project in 2025. A lot of this is because of the Italian pavilion. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some of the key Italian companies that come to the show every year: Ghilardoni, Inav, Avioge, Bombelli, some of the most Leonardo, for some of the most well-known Italian names. They come to the show every year. They win awards every year. They speak at our conferences every year, and they contribute greatly to the depth of technology that we are able to show to our regional buyers and visitors that come to the show. Um, as I mentioned, we've got those conferences. So some of the leadership that speaks from Riyadh Air to Abu Dhabi airports to GACA, which is the Civil Aviation Authority, Dubai Airport. We've got several American airports that speak as well. We have had Italian speakers at our conferences in the past. We will have Italian speakers at our conferences. Wherever there's a company from Italy that has a senior leader that wishes to speak in one of our conferences, we make sure that they sit on the right panel. We make sure there's an opportunity for them to share their thought leadership with our attendees. So the current show in its format in 2024, it had the exhibition, it had the International Airport Association Global Aviation Issues Conference, it had the Women in Aviation Conference, it had the Excellence Awards, it had Italy, UK, and Germany pavilions, and it had a Middle East and mainly Saudi Arabia buyers program. What are we doing in 2025 to enhance that experience? So we've created an area for innovation and startups. We're working with some of the Saudi local startup associations to bring more innovation and startups this year. We've created an area for large vehicles. It's a GAC display area, as you see in some of the other shows around the world. We've created a global airport development pavilion. The purpose of this pavilion is for the buyers to have stands as well. So a lot of our buyers have told us in the past, Egypt airports, Bahrain airports, Doha airport, Oman airports have said that we'd like to have some small space where we can invite for some more closed door meetings apart from the meetings we have on the stands. So we have an airport development pavilion where you'll get to meet some of these airports on their specific stands. We have a catering zone looking at how catering is developing at airports around the world and the opportunities for Middle East. And then we have an AI and innovation trail, which will be selecting certain exhibitors for a more curated experience for our visitors. Just to talk about Italy and Saudi Arabia, as I mentioned in the beginning, 1932, Italy and Saudi Arabia signed the Treaty of Friendship, and today they celebrate over 90 years of friendship. You can see the photo on the left in March 1975 when the Italian president visited Saudi Arabia. Today, more than 150 Italian companies are working in Italy, so in Saudi Arabia, sorry, and the Italian foreign direct investment in the kingdom exceeds 4.6 billion. Um, the total trade between the Saudi Arabia and Italy today is worth 10.8 billion, and Italy is the 10th largest exporter to the kingdom, and Saudi Arabia is Italy's second largest trading partner in the Middle East. That relationship continues. Italy today is amongst the top 20 countries investing in Saudi Arabia. And to further strengthen this, the Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and Italy's export agency just signed an agreement recently in November 2024 to provide up to $3 billion in funding for Italian companies seeking opportunities in the kingdom. You have the picture on the right where the Italian Prime Minister met the Saudi Crown Prince. And in January this year, they signed an agreement to establish the Saudi-Italian Strategic Partnership Council. So this 90 years of friendship and trade between Saudi Arabia and Italy, it's very strong. It continues to be stronger every year. We're very grateful to the Italian companies that come to the show to further solidify that strengthening relationship. On the last slide, once again, a reminder for the dates of the show, 16th to the 17th of December in Riyadh. And we look forward to seeing you at the world's new aviation hub, which is where we feel Saudi Arabia is positioning itself. Thank you everyone for attending. We will send you a follow-up email and share the presentation with you. And then, of course, we're here to help you. If there's anything we can do to support your business interests in Saudi and in the Middle East, please reach out to us.